Hey lunatics, what's up? It's Asylum Reviews here, coming at you guys with my SmackDown live review for the March 26th, 2019 episode. We are less than 2 weeks away from WrestleMania, and major implications heading into the show of shows, the grandest stage of them all, as we have a new SmackDown Women's Champion in Charlotte Flair, and we also had another gauntlet match on the show featuring Big E and Xavier Woods of the New Day. So we'll talk about it. So the show kicks off with New Day, and we go right to the ring, and out comes Kofi Kingston, Big E, and Xavier Woods. Tom Phillips welcomes up. He's joined by Corey Graves and Byron Saxton. The fans start chanting for Kofi as soon as the group enters the ring. Woods wants to be serious for a minute, and I got the video right here, and we're just gonna listen what New Day had to say at the start of SmackDown Live.
The thing that's been hard about it on me and he especially is just been watching how poorly Kofi has been treated. And it's not just recently. It's been for the past 11 years.
Yeah. You know, POP isn't just a catchphrase. This man right here exudes the power of positivity. This man here, my brother, our brother, Kofi Kingston, does not know the word quit.
And we know we need to make a decision, but we can't make that decision until we get some answers. And unfortunately, the person who has those answers is Mr. McMahon. So we, the New Day, are asking Mr. McMahon to come out here and address us face to face, so that we can talk about the issues that we have. And Mr. McMahon, we have no problem waiting in the middle of this ring until you do.
So they call up Vince to see what they're gonna do as far as Kofi's goes, and Vince comes out.
It appears the New Day are going to get their answers.
And skip right to it.
Hold on.
But before Vince could even say anything, here comes Daniel Bryan and Rowan.
Mr. McMahon, don't waste another breath placating the fragile egos of the New Day. If the New Day want to quit, let them quit.
Well, now what Daniel Bryan is referring to, after last week's gauntlet match with Kofi Kingston, taking on the Bar, Samoa Joe, Randy Orton, and someone else, I forgot. After he took them all out, basically, Big E made this video on Twitter saying that him and Xavier and Kofi were thinking about leaving the WWE or just quitting because they can't seem to get the right opportunities as far as Kofi goes. But it was announced on Raw last night during the commercial break when they advertised for SmackDown that the New Day was going to come out on SmackDown this week and address the WWE Universe as far as the aftermath goes from the gauntlet match last week, and what Mr. McMahon is going to tell them to do for Kofi to get an opportunity against Daniel Bryan for the WWE title at WrestleMania. And so Big E made this promo on Twitter. It was like a 2-minute video, and he got all serious about it, and he was just talking about like the career and the success of Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods and him as well, all three members of the New Day. And so now it just leads us to this, and what's going to happen now as far as New Day goes.
Because guess what? what? Guess what? The New Day is nothing but a stale novelty act. A stale novelty act, by the way, that you created. If you want to create another one, it's easy. We'll just pull up 3 people from NXT. We'll call them Fresh Afternoon.
See, Daniel Bryan calls him stale. But yeah, he doesn't realize these guys have been a stable for like 5 years now. They debuted it as a stable in 2014. We are now in 2019. It's been 5 years the New Day have been apart as a stable, as a trio together in WWE. And they've been multi-time tag team champions on both Raw and SmackDown Live. And yeah, Daniel Bryan's calling them stale. I don't know about that, Bryan.
And they'll throw waffles into the crowd, and they'll be wildly more popular than the New Day.
He said waffles instead of pancakes.
And do you know why? Do you know why? Because Kofi Kingston is nothing but a B-plus player.
And then Daniel Bryan calls Kofi a B-plus player. Literally the same shit that he was called back in 2014 when he fought against the Authority. This is literally like the same exact storyline rewritten all over again for Kofi Kingston. It's crazy, man. It's literally Kofi and the rest of New Day versus the Authority and Daniel Bryan, Rowan, and Mr. McMahon. So, I don't know. I really don't know, like, what's going to happen next. I mean, I do know, but I mean, it's just, it's crazy, like, how far it came to get here for Kofi to finally get his shot. And so then Mr. McMahon tells us that New Day is still going to get another opportunity.
Just like Kofi Kingston, these people refuse to accept that reality.
Reality? The reality is that you turned into a hypocrite, Bryan.
I like what Xavier said here.
And that's exactly why you're out here right now.
No.
Hang on a second, shut up! You're not about to quit. You never were gonna quit.
Makes fun of New Day
I
here.
get it. Everybody loves what we have here. Most everybody. So, Kofi, you are definitely still and always be, in my view, a B-plus player.
100% correct. I agree with you, Vince. B-plus player all the way.
The only question in my mind is whether or not you two are a B-plus tag team.
They're lackeys,
I
Vince.
know
They're
all
lackeys.
this
They're way less than
passion you
that.
have for Kofi, all this respect you have for Kofi. I get it. Yeah, I get it. So the question is, can you two put Kofi Kingston in the WWE Championship match at WrestleMania? Can you?
No, we don't need to.
All you have to, you can. Is that right? All you have to do, Kofi, you're not going to have any more opportunities, pal. You might as well go back and have a soda or something. You're done having your opportunities. But if you two can win a tag team gauntlet match tonight, Kofi's in at WrestleMania.
A tag team gauntlet match for Big E and Xavier to get Kofi to WrestleMania.
So there you have it. Big E and Xavier Woods in a tag team gauntlet match. If they win, Kofi goes to WrestleMania to face Daniel Bryan for the WWE title. So that's that. The announcers talk about the Raw Women's Triple Threat being the main event of WrestleMania 35. We see a shot of Ronda Rousey, Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair on the ESPN this morning. Sarah Schreiber is backstage with Becky Lynch now, congratulating her on being on the main event. Schreiber mentions Becky winning the Beat the Clock challenge on Raw. Becky says we will also see her win at WrestleMania 35. Facts. Lynch goes on about the match and asks what Flair brings to it, calling her a third wheel, because that's what she is, undeserving. We hear Flair's music start up in the arena that stops Becky from talking to Schreiber. Lynch shakes her head and walks off. We cut to the arena and Flair comes out walking down the ramp. Flair says she's about to show everyone how undeserving she really is. She does the woo and keeps walking to the ring as we go to commercial. We're back from the break, and out comes SmackDown Women's Champion Asuka as Charlotte Flair looks on. We get former in-ring introductions from Greg Hamilton. The announcers are surprised that this is now a title match. Charlotte Flair with an impromptu title match against Asuka to kick off the show. The bell rings and they size each other up. They lock up and go at it. Flair takes control and slams Asuka to the mat. Flair keeps Asuka down now. Asuka turns it around and applies a hold on Flair, keeping her down. They tangle some more and Flair ends up getting sent out of the ring to the floor. We go to commercial with Flair down on the outside. More back and forth after the match. Asuka applies a submission, but Flair fights out of it. They unload big shots in the middle of the ring now. Flair with a big boot to take Asuka's knee out. Flair stomps away and works the leg over. She tells Asuka she's nothing anymore. Asuka levels Flair out of nowhere and takes her down. Asuka's unable to capitalize. Flair goes back to work and mushes Asuka into the corner. Asuka fights back, hits the hip attack. Asuka with the big German suplex. Asuka with the stiff kick to the jaw. Charges again with another kick to the face for a close 2 count. She unloads with a kick to the back now and misses a hip attack as Flair levels her with a huge boot to the face. Asuka still kicks out at 2. Charlotte climbs to the top for a moonsault, but Asuka gets her boots up. She goes right into the submission but can't put Flair away. Asuka with a spinning back fist and then a kick to drop kick Flair. Asuka covers for another close pin attempt, but we go to commercial. We're back from the break, and they trade big shots in the middle of the ring as fans goes along with them. Asuka counters a move and rolls Flair up for a 1 count as Flair goes right back to the knee. Flair goes for the figure 4 and figure 8, but they're blocked. Asuka sends Flair into the turnbuckles. Asuka screams at Flair and kicks right in the face for a close 2 count. Asuka with more offense now as she goes to the top turnbuckle, but Flair decks her. Charlotte climbs up with Asuka, hits a super Spanish fly, which was crazy, and that got a huge pop. Asuka still kicks out somehow, and Flair can't believe it. Crowd's going insane. Flair looks up at the WrestleMania 35 sign and talks to herself about how she needs to finish it. Asuka pulls Flair into a triangle submission, but Flair powers out of it with Asuka still locked on. She drops Asuka into a sit-down powerbomb, but Asuka kicks out at 2. They tango onto the mat with counters and submission attempts. As Flair avoids the Asuka lock, she goes right into the figure 4, bridges into the figure 8, and Asuka taps out. And Charlotte Flair is your new SmackDown Live Women's Champion, heading into the main event of WrestleMania 35. Very, very interesting here. So Charlotte Flair, she breaks history and she becomes an 8-time Women's Champion in WWE. First ever 8-time Women's Champion in WWE. And she's heading to WrestleMania with Becky Lynch or Ronda Rousey. Now it makes you wonder, okay, so we have Ronda Rousey with the Raw Women's title, and we have Charlotte Flair with the SmackDown Women's title. We have 2 titles in the main event of WrestleMania 35. Are they going to combine the titles into one? Are they going to unify the titles? And Becky Lynch is going to walk out with the undisputed Women's Championship? I mean, I don't know, man. It leaves you wonder to what's going to happen at WrestleMania. Are they really going to unify the titles? Well, we'll see. So Charlotte Flair wins the SmackDown Live Women's title from Asuka. Kurt Angle versus AJ Styles. This match really never got started here. It was really, really anticipated. We were all looking forward to this. We saw Angle take on Joe on Raw the previous night. Angle beat Joe, the United States Champion. Joe was not on the show tonight, surprisingly. And we see Kurt Angle and AJ Styles. This match really never got started, like I said. All we saw was just a calf crusher from AJ, and Kurt counters into the ankle lock. AJ makes it to the ropes. All of a sudden, Randy Orton comes out of nowhere, hits an RKO on AJ Styles, and Kurt takes Randy out with an angle slam. And that was that. Angle comes back up, lays Orton with an angle slam. Angle stands up, Hall, music hits, and the others are still down. We see a video from earlier today with Caleb Braxton talking to Rey Mysterio and his son Dominic, asking about the WrestleMania 35 match with WWE United States Champion Samoa Joe. Rey's son mentions how Joe is selfish and nothing like Kofi Kingston or his dad. Rey says he will teach Joe a lesson at WrestleMania when he stands up for himself and his family and becomes the new United States Champion. The Miz is out next, and he said he wants a stipulation added to the WrestleMania match with Shane McMahon. Fans chant Miz is awesome, and Miz agrees with them. He talks about how he has a vision of tearing Shane McMahon apart at WrestleMania 35. Miz says Shane has lit a fire under him like he has never experienced in all of the years of WWE. The Miz talks about how Shane attacked him in front of his dad at Fastlane and made it personal. He wants to make sure everyone in the world sees him decimate Shane. He wants this to be a Falls Count Anywhere match at WrestleMania. Miz goes on until the music interrupts, and out comes Shane's own security team, along with the Cologne's Shelton Benjamin, who we haven't seen in 2 weeks. He just randomly appeared on Monday Night Raw to fight Seth Rollins, and then he just wasn't seen since. And then Sanity. And Eric Young shaved his beard, and he looks weird as hell. Are out to stand behind the security team. Shane is out last, speaking from the stage behind groups of protection. Shane has Greg Hamilton re-announce him as the best in the world. And he says the security is out here for Miz's benefit to protect him from Shane. Shane brings up the stipulation request and says Miz must be as dumb as Miz's dad looks. Stipulation accepted. Shane shows us a photo of him grabbing Miz's dad by the face at WWE Fastlane. He goes on about how good beating the Miz and his dad felt. He accepts the false counting stipulation from WrestleMania. He regrets not doing him any harm to Miz's dad and punishing him for spawning a mistake. I didn't like that cheesy reference there. Shane says that when he impregnated Miz's mother, Miz rushes him from the ring and tries to fight through security. Somehow Miz manages to take everybody out. He took out all the security teams. They managed to grab a hold of him, but Miz just fucking... He scratched and clawed and he wiggled his way out of it and he took out all his members of security. And then he fought the Colognes. He took them out. He threw Primo into the steps. And then he took out Shelton Benjamin as well. And they had a little brawl on him. He took him out. And then he fought with Sanity and he managed to beat down all 3 members of Sanity into the crowd. And Miz fights out of it and he makes his way back to the arena. Or back up the ramp, rather. So Miz starts brawling with the superstars now. He takes out the Colognes, Shelton Benjamin, but Sanity triple teams him at ringside. Eric Young barks as Killian Dane's Alexander Wolf launch Miz into the barrier, but Miz eventually fights back and takes everyone out as Shane watches from the stage. Shane retreats to the Miz. Shane retreats to the back as Miz stands tall for a pop. The announcer shows tonight's opening segment with New Day and Vince McMahon. Kofi will earn a WWE title match at WrestleMania if Big E and Xavier Woods can win a tag team gauntlet match later tonight. The announcers look back at the Charlotte Flair's big win over Asuka. They talk about where Raw, where Bliss had the moment of bliss with Braun Strowman, and Saturday night's Michael Che and Colin Host. It's now official. They will now be a part of the 6th annual Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal at WrestleMania with Braun Strowman. There's that. Now we move on to the tag team gauntlet match. Big E and Xavier Woods versus Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson to kick off this gauntlet match. They literally just took him out within minutes. We're back from the break, and Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson are out. Tom says Kofi is banned from the ringside for the entire gauntlet match. Woods and Anderson go at it to start the match. Back and forth for a few minutes. Big E comes in to hit the up, down to him right away to double team move and get the easy elimination on the Good Brothers, pinning Carl Anderson. Out next comes the second team of Rusev and Shinsuke Nakamura with Lana. We see the Hardy Boys, Rey Mysterio, Becky Lynch, and Kofi backstage watching the matches. Nakamura starts with Woods. Back and forth to start. Nakamura turns it around, unloads on Woods with strikes. Nakamura drops Woods out of the corner and covers for a 2 count. Rusev tags in and mounts Woods with big strikes as Lana cheers him on. Rusev tosses Woods into the ring in front of Lana. We go to commercial. We're back from the break, and Rusev unloads on Woods into the corner with shoulder thrusts. Nakamura comes in, delivers some good vibrations. Nakamura drops knee on the Woods and covers for a 2 count. We see Kofi and more superstars backstage watching the match again. Big E reaches for the tag, but Nakamura stops Woods and grounds him in the middle of the ring. Fans rally for Woods as he knocks Rusev off the apron. Nakamura comes back and he decks Woods into the corner. Woods counters the reverse exploder. Big E gets the hot tag for a pop. Rusev unloads with an overhead belly-to-belly suplex on Nakamura. No, that Big E. I don't know why it says Rusev there. Big E unloads with overhead belly-to-belly suplexes on Nakamura. He gets a pop as he stands over Nakamura and dances. He runs to the ropes, hits a big splash. The fans cheer for New Day as we see Kofi and friends chanting along backstage. Big E ends up sending him to the floor. Rusev grabs a hold of Big E but counters it, sending Rusev into the steel steps. Kofi is getting hyped up backstage. The referee is distracted by Rusev in the ring now, allowing Shinsuke to deliver a cheap shot. Nakamura goes on, drops Big E with a big suplex, but then a running shot to the face. Woods makes the save for a close 2 count. Rusev and Woods go at it now. Woods sends Rusev to the ropes of the floor. Woods runs the ropes and drop kicks Rusev through them. Nakamura takes Woods out. Nakamura waits in the corner, but Big E blocks the Kinshasa. Big E sends Nakamura shoulder first into the ring post. Woods tags in and they deliver another up, down, double team move, covering Nakamura for the win. And Kofi and friends cheer Woods and Big E on from backstage as the tag team gauntlet match continues and they advance. Out comes the Bar. We'll come back to the commercial and New Day looks on. We're back from the break when we see superstars backstage watching as Sheamus has Big E grounded in the middle of the ring. Sheamus keeps control in and out comes Cesaro with Cesaro swing attempt. Quickly applies a sharpshooter on Big E now. Big E manages under the overpowering, kicking Cesaro through the ropes into the floor. Sheamus quickly comes in and stops Big E from tagging out. Sheamus stomps away on Big E now. Big E ends up fighting both of the bar off. He crawls for the tag, but he has to stop and backdrop Cesaro. We see Kofi and friends backstage watching the tag attempt, getting hyped up. Woods finally gets the hot tag and goes right to work on Cesaro. Sheamus runs in, but Woods kicks him to the head. Woods counters a move of big tornado DDT into Sheamus. Woods runs the ropes and he leaps out of the ring, taking down the bar as the flange pop. Woods brings it back in, goes to the top, nailing the big leg drop onto Cesaro for a close 2 count. Sheamus breaks it up. We go back to commercial. Back from the break, and the bar still controlled Big E. Sheamus kicks Woods off the apron. He ends up going for a bro kick, but Big E turns it into a big powerbomb for a pin attempt. But Woods tags in, Cesaro comes in. But more back and forth between Woods and Cesaro. The chaos leads into Woods rolling Sheamus up for the win, and the next elimination occurs. Kofi's group backstage is much larger now, and they all celebrate the win. The bar attacks Woods and Big E after the bell, focusing on where they're hurt. Cesaro brings a table front of the ring. As Tom says, the New Day has now been in the match for over 23 minutes. They bring the table into the ring and they drive Big E through it. The next tag team out is the SmackDown Live Tag Team Champions, the Usos. Now, like what happens here, Jimmy and Jey Uso, they come out into the ring while Big E is still down on the table. Woods stands in between them. The Usos are waiting for Big E and Xavier to get up. All of a sudden, they take the mic and they talk about how they fought wars with New Day in the past and how Kofi deserves a fight for the WWE title. Fans chant for Kofi now. The Usos says the New Day has already earned their respect. Kofi has earned respect from everyone in the locker room and the fans. Usos wish the New Day good luck and announce that they are forfeiting their part of the gauntlet. And it looks like the match is over as Kofi is heading to WrestleMania 35. The camera cuts backstage to Daniel Bryan and Rowan in the locker room. They're furious and they start throwing chairs and desks and TVs and shit. They're furious. They start destroying everything. We go to commercial. We're back from the break and we see trainers checking on Big E and Woods into the ring. It's announced that New Day must face one more tag team in the gauntlet. Out comes Daniel Bryan, the WWE Champion, and Rowan. They immediately attack and start destroying Woods and Big E, but Woods is laid out at ringside after having his leg wrapped around the ring post. Tom says they have been in this match for over 33 minutes. Bryan brings it back into the ring, goes at it with Big E now. Big E nails Bryan and clubs away on Rowan, who is now in the apron. Big E tries to reach Woods, but Bryan stops him and applies a half-crab submission. Bryan yells at Big E to give it up, and he tightens the hold. Wood comes flying out of nowhere, makes the save. Rowan comes in and delivers a few shots. Woods ends up leaping over the top rope, taking Rowan down to the floor. Bryan charges in at Big E in the corner, but Big E drives him to the mat. We get more shots of Big E, Kofi and friends in the back. Big E drops his straps as the fans pop. He looks to hit the beginning on Bryan, but Rowan makes a save on the pin. Woods tries to come back, but Rowan knocks him away and into the barrier. Rowan is the legal man now. He plants Big E in the middle of the ring for a close 2 count. Woods fights Bryan off on the outside, nailing a big tornado DDT. Great spot there. Bryan sold the shit out of that. Rowan, who was ordered to clear the announce table, goes for the Iron Claw on Woods, but it's blocked. Instead, Big E and Woods send Rowan to the ring post twice, and Big E clotheslines Rowan over the announce table, and he tips the table over onto Rowan, trapping him. Big E and Woods return to the ring as the referee starts the count of 10, makes it up to the 10 count, and it's official. Big E and Woods make Kofi go to WrestleMania. Big E and Woods advance, and they win the gauntlet match. Kofi is now facing Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania. I'm excited. We knew it was coming weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. After weeks of getting screwed by Vince McMahon and the rest of the locker room, who have trying to avoid Kofi from going to WrestleMania, it's finally happening. Kofi Kingston will be facing Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania. After the bell, Hamilton officially announces that Kofi Kingston is going to WrestleMania 35. The New Day's music hits as Kofi runs down to the ring from the back for a celebration for Woods and Big E. The fans start chanting Kofi's name as we go to replays. And the entire locker room came out to celebrate with Kofi and the rest of the New Day. We saw Ricochet, we saw Black, we saw Ali, we saw Kevin Owens, we saw Carmella, R-Truth, a bunch of people. Kayla Braxton approaches Vince McMahon backstage as he's getting into his limousine. She mentions the New Day winning their gauntlet match and he said it was impressive. She asks Vince if this means Kofi is going to WrestleMania, and he says it does. Vince says the question now is if a B-plus player can defeat Bryan for the WWE title at WrestleMania. Vince says goodnight and gets into the limousine. We see him drive away. The camera cuts back to the ring as New Day continues to celebrate. Becky Lynch, Kevin Owens, the Hardy Boys, R-Truth, Carmella, Naomi, Ricochet, Aleister Black, Mustafa Ali, The Miz, and other superstars come down from the locker room. They surround the ring, and Byron Saxton gets up from the announce table to join them. The superstars surround the ring shake the ropes and beat on the apron to cheer Kofi on. We see Bryan down on the outside in the corner against the barrier and clutching the WWE title. He looks on in the celebration. SmackDown goes off the air with the New Day celebrating. I know I spoke really fast there and most of that gauntlet match, but I'm just trying to get through this video because we still got 205 Live and NXT to review. I saw 205 Live last night, and I just saw NXT literally like about 30 minutes ago as I woke up. So we're gonna talk about that in the next video. So if you guys enjoy the SmackDown Live review, I know I was trying to rush through it, but next week will be a normal review. I won't try to rush through it like I did this week. But like I said, guys, if you enjoyed this review, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, favorite, RKO the like button out of nowhere. Let me know what you think about Kofi finally getting his opportunity at WrestleMania. Are you happy Kofi's going to finally face Daniel Bryan? Because we knew it was coming. Because who the fuck else would Bryan fight with less than 2 weeks away from WrestleMania? It wouldn't make any sense if it was anybody else. But yeah, that's all I got for your SmackDown Live review, guys. So also tap the bell for notifications so you get all my future uploads. And until then, I'll see you all in the next video, the 205 Live NXT review. Until then, I'll see you on the next one. Too sweet. And at peace.